Hello, this is Kathy from the Daily Marker. How are you today? I'm super excited. This is day 2 of the 30-day coloring challenge, and I'm having a mega hop with lots of my favorite stamp companies, and I want to share with you how I created this card. I've mixed three different stamp companies, which I love to do together. I think it makes your projects very interesting. And should we go ahead and get started? Now first I'm stamping. This is a neat and tangled background. It's spectacular. I can't wait just to color it and give it center stage for my card. But it just came in the mail and I had to use it on something. And when I'm creating a little scene, I always need a fun background. So I decided to use a stamp. And I'm using, I think it's London Fog. It's a Simon Says Stamp gray ink. And I've already pre-stamped Simon Says Stamp Succulents and the girl from Stampendous. No, God no, sorry. Stamping Bella. And I just took a picture with my phone because I want to remember this arrangement. When I break it up to color it, I want to remember how I had it because I futzed around a little bit and that'll help me out. So I don't want to focus on how I'm coloring this background because I'm just laying down some color. I'm not doing anything fancy. I used a nubby rag with some blending solution and it really muted the lines. It kind of gave it a neat look. And I used a heat gun to dry it. Now we're going to start coloring this gorgeous girl. She works with so many different stamp sets. And these are all the colors I used on her. And she's from Stamping Bella, and she's such a great size. She works great with like the Lawn Fawn, the baking sets, Mama Elephant, like they have that computer set. You could use like talk bubbles with like fruits. And there's just so many things. If I had more time, I would stamp this Stamping Bella woman with every stamp company and just show you how great she is with so many different things. She's a must-have. I love her and she's fun to color. So it looks like that I missed somehow. I whacked out and didn't film the whole coloring process of her skin and all that. So I apologize. Let me look for that. Hold on a sec. Okay, well, I tried and I guess I didn't hit the on button, so it's always something. But I always like to share the most important parts when I do videos because I don't want to waste your time, and adding the highlights and the fine details is what's the most satisfying thing for me. And right now, that's what I'm doing. I kind of want her hair a little bit more red, a little bit more auburn, and I'm just feathering some of that color in, and then I'll pick up my lighter color. I always like to focus a darker color on the part. You know, like say she had highlights and her hair is growing in. So I'm putting some darker color up there by the part. And then eventually I'm going to add some accents with colored pencils. And anyways, no one should ever need to make excuses about coloring because it's relaxing. It's proven to lower your blood pressure. And if it makes you happy, do it more. So I'm just futzing around here. Now I always like to go back and add more dark color to little nooks and crannies. And I'm just adding a little bit more shading. I'm going to define the ear there and a little bit more on the forehead and underneath the eyes here. I have bags under my eyes, so she should too, right? So it kind of gives her a little bit more personality and it's fun to do. But again, you want to make sure you've got a really sharp tip. See how it just kind of made her eyes pop? So it's super fun to do this, and you can do this. I have never done this before, maybe once. So I encourage you to try it. It's really rewarding. And again, these are just Prisma colored pencils. I'll link in the supplies the sharpener that I love. And I'm adding just a little bit more. I always like to go back and just add a little bit more. I mean, sometimes I just need to stop myself. And the great thing is she's already got eyelashes. Usually I'm always adding eyelashes. So I'm just kind of darkening that area where, like, near the eyelid where the shadow line goes. Now I certainly could walk away. She looks complete, but I just have a thing where I enjoy it, so I just keep adding more little things. So around the face, I like to add a darker hair that frames her face. So while I skirt around her and just add a little bit more of this, and a little bit more of that, I'm going to talk about the challenge. It's a 30-day coloring challenge. Anybody is welcome to join. If you've watched from the sidelines or you've never heard about it, now's the time to jump in. You don't have to do it every day. I do because I'm the leader of the group, but you can jump in as time fits and as you see, as time permits for yourself. But I like to try and encourage you to take 5 or 10 minutes a day just to color something. You know, if you have a flower stamped or a flower in a coloring book or a critter and you only have time to do a petal or a few petals, that's great. That's just a little bit more time that you found for yourself. So I encourage you to do that, but by no means you don't need to do it every day. And then there's lots of different ways to share. And while I continue talking about this, I'm adding some darker highlights to the top of her head again, focusing on that part, and then bringing that darker line down towards the center. But the challenge, anyone's welcome, anytime. You can use any medium that you want, colored pencils, markers, watercolors, pastel paints, anything. And if you want to share with us and you're crocheting and that's your coloring, that's great too. Someone on Instagram the other day said that they were getting ready for the challenge and I think they were knitting or something. I don't know, but somehow we got on a joke about drinking a colored drink would be great for the challenge too. So you can take it really far if you want. But I was talking about sharing, and here right now I'm adding darker areas around her face and some more highlight lines. And I'm starting to color her shirt, which is covered up mostly, but if you color a shirt, maybe this will give you some ideas. So I'm just putting down that base layer. But on my blog, I talk about different ways you can share. There's a great group of women, a few men on Instagram, very supportive. It's a great way to share. A lot of people have made friends. You could share on Instagram, on my blog. There's a link where you can upload your work and share it with me that way. And there's a Facebook group. And I'm not as active in the Facebook group. It's my goal to be, but it's hard to be everywhere and to post every day and to color every day. So I'm doing my best there. I'm not a Facebook person, so it's kind of a new habit, and I'm working on that. So anyways, there's lots of ways to share. There'll be lots of giveaways throughout the challenge, but the rewards come with the friendships that you make, the encouragement that you get, and the happiness you get from coloring. So, okay, I'll jump off my soapbox and we'll get back to coloring. And a lot of times I use 3 colors, a dark, a medium, and a light. And I'm bringing some more of that dark color in. Sorry. And if you've never seen one of my videos, I'm quirky. I don't hide all the sounds. Hopefully you'll think it's refreshing. I'm as real as it can get. I don't know. Anyways, okay, so sometimes you can overblend red, so you have to be careful. And I just got tired of coloring her shirt, so I'm taking this light color and I'm drawing lines from one side to the next. I just want to give her a visual texture to the shirt. Kind of fools the eye, and you don't have to spend a lot of time blending and shading. And it looks cool in person, but then again, it's covered up. So now I'm adding some little highlights with pencils on her lips. Now the other day, someone asked me not to speed up my videos, so I'm going to try and just roll this one just regular time today. But sometimes they're so long, and I just try to slow down the important parts. So I don't know. I try and make everyone happy. Let's just say that. So I'm adding some color to the nooks and crannies and some darker color here, little accents. And when I'm finished coloring her, I'm going to take a blade. See, this is where I can't stop. I didn't need to do anything else to her hair, but I just felt like, oh, let's add a little more color there. Now, also, the Stamping Bella images, they have colored packaging, and it's a great guideline for you if you don't know where to start. It's a nice springboard. So I'm going to take a blade, and I'm going to put a cut right in front of her arm. Now, either you could see where her hand is tucked under her arm. You could cut there and just cut that whole arm, that area, and slip something in there. Or else you could take a blade and just cut in front of the shirt. And here on the shirt, I'm just adding some of those accent lines with the colored pencil, like I was doing with the marker. And I'm using this brush to flick away any residual little pencil shavings so it doesn't smear on the image. Now, I've been doing this for years and years and years, taking a fine tip Sharpie marker or a Copic marker and just adding little accents, outlining the image, just kind of makes your coloring pop. And notice that I don't go around the whole arm all at once. I'll have a starting point and an ending point. That way my hand is more steady. And I'm not going to go over her lips or her nose. I'm just doing the areas where you might want a heavier line. And then I added a thicker border on her shirt collar and her sleeves. Now this, what I picked up, is a 0.03. I use it all the time. I love it. And it adds little fine lines. And I'll be using that to add texture to these pots and cups and mugs. And right now I'm just drawing a plaid here. Just some freehand lines. And then I'm going to hyper speed it and color this because I'm not really doing any shading. I'm just coloring it. And time is too valuable, especially during this hop. I'm sure there's going to be lots of other videos, lots of giveaways, and I also have my own giveaway on the blog. So I'm just filling these different areas I sketched in earlier, just picking up, some reds and oranges. I just wanted a bright color. Now, while I'm doing this, take a look at the background there, and you'll see that I didn't color a certain area because I planned to put all those succulents there. I'm like, why spend time coloring that? In the end, it probably was just smart to color the whole darn thing one day and then put the rest of the card together another day. Because there's some little peak areas that I had to color later. So does that make sense? Anyway, so I've picked up the mug. This mug is going to be inserted in front of her. And I'm just drawing some little triangles, some little lines. And then I'm like, I need more color. So I'm adding more color. And now I'm just coloring that succulent. These succulents are very realistic. I love them. But they're so small, it's not worth doing like a lot of shading. So you kind of just draw a line, like your darker line, your medium line, and your lighter line. And if you go over those lines, the color kind of melts together. The solution of the marker will soften the other line. I always like over my greens, I like to add like a beige, it's an E color, a beige, or like a light lavender like I did on that. And I felt like on this cup I needed a stronger line, so I'm going over this with a Sharpie. And I just wanted to point that out there. Now, on the freehand succulents you see here that I've die cut and stamped, I end up taking a scissor, and there's that little white border. I cut that off on the bottom of the succulent, and then I use my Memento marker to color it black. Now here I'm cutting that line there, and I'm tucking this down in there. Now I have one more pot to color, and I'm just adding a little bit of shading there, and then I'll be using a colorless blender right there to remove some of the color, and then I'll add a color on top of those dots. And then I'll add first I'm going to trace over this. See how it just makes the coloring pop? And now I have my 0.03, and I'm just drawing like little lines there. So that's it. It was so fun to make, and I really hope you give this a try and picked up some tips. So go to my blog, check out the full hop list and all the giveaways. And I'm so excited you're here, and thank you so much for watching, and see you tomorrow. Have a great day.